we're going to get the hang of this thing.
I know. We'll get there. We're just still getting our feet under us. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. We're excited to be here on our 3rd episode. So this episode is brought to you by R30 Private Investigation Firm. You can find their website on the page there, and we will be linking it in the show notes as well. So definitely, if you need any investigations done or any type of things looked into, R30 Private Investigations is the firm to call. So guys, how you doing? What's new?
It seems like forever, but like we were just here last week all at the same time.
I know. I had to kind of remind myself that it was 2 weeks ago and not last week. Because it feels like it was just not that long ago.
Time is like flying by.
It really is. Yeah.
Like, I can't believe we're halfway through. We're more than halfway through July now. Like, it's just crazy.
It's crazy.
For sure.
So... yeah. So, Jessica, you were at Turning Point USA this weekend, right?
Yes, I was at Turning Point this weekend.
How'd it go?
and Saturday was a crap show, to say the least. After waiting 4 hours out in the garage, we were finally able to go inside, and the wait was bad enough. But then there was a wait for food. There was a wait for bathroom. We were being threatened to lose our seats if we didn't come back fast enough. So it was just very mismanaged, in my opinion. Come to find out is that the reason for the huge delay in the front was that Secret Service refused any help from the county. So at Turning Point, we did have a couple county commissioners there. They were trying to help relieve the stress that was happening in the garage and being able to get us transferred through. From my understanding, is Turning Point requested 10 magnetometers, and 2 arrived.
So 6,000 people had to go through 2 scanners.
I heard it was 8.
It might have been. I don't even know. It was probably close. Stu's right. It's probably close because the overflow. I think there was like 6,000 seats. Yeah, and they had the overflow room.
Yeah. So
it was crazy.
They couldn't. So. Exactly that. They were trying to rush all of these people in through two screening machines. And then even the county Sheriff Bradshaw for Palm Beach County said, I can have 4 or 5 magnetometers there within a few, 20 minutes to a half hour. The Secret Service refused them, said no.
I think it was sabotage.
Well, it kind of felt that way.
It almost did.
Because it was like, we've all heard about Charlie Kirk's, conferences and things that he's put on and never heard anything of this magnitude before. So I just found it very interesting. That's all I got to say.
You would think if they're running or like events this big, they know what they're doing. And so it was felt like an anomaly that this was happening. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But
for sure. And you could tell the frustration with Charlie Kirk. He came out into the garage probably about an hour before we got in, half hour maybe before we got in.
It was when we were in the line to get into the...
Yeah, and he's like, I'm so sorry. They did hand out waters and things of that nature, but, it was brutal. South Florida, July, it's 100 degrees outside. So it was just really frustrating. Still didn't accept for the aspects of the mismanagement on the inside, waiting an hour for food after you waited 4 hours.
I think if you hadn't waited 4 hours for food, to get in, waiting for food wouldn't have been as big of a pain in the neck.
Yeah.
I feel like it was just everything was exacerbated.
Yeah, you would have thought that they would have had more vendors that they just would have been a little bit more prepared for us, especially after knowing that there was a wait. So my thought process is they had 4 hours to kind of figure it out before we all got in there. So, just something to, kind of think about. At our Region 5 meeting last night, they were actually, it was suggested of doing a FOIA request for the Secret Service to find out exactly what happened. So if any of our listeners want to take that on and report back to us, that would be awesome. So not sure if there's any sabotage going on there. It's just interesting how that all works out.
Very interesting.
And us as a county, we're trying to work it out and get it better, and they would not accept the help. So it was okay for us to suffer, in their opinion, and that kind of frustrated me and kind of annoyed me. And
it was a little bit.
Yeah. So that aspect of Turning Point, the speakers were great. I was very happy.
Who was your favorite?
Steve Bannon is definitely one of my favorites. He just he just goes to the heart of
it.
He
was right there.
He just kind of guts it. And I love Dan Bongino.
Oh, yeah.
I loved his T-shirt, Don't Get Dead.
Don't get dead.
I love it.
I think we should all get one of those and wear them.
Right? Right?
Don't get dead.
Like
This whole thing, Abby. Do you know what Dan Bongino's thing is? So he says that liberal policies help you get dead faster. So don't get dead.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong, right? It was so funny. He was great.
Yep.
Right.
So of all aspects of life, don't get dead.
Don't get dead. Hear that? Don't get dead.
Don't get dead.
Don't get dead.
So that was great. Bannon took it really hard to Fox News, which I think was warranted, which was really nice. I love how they're kind of promoting this Project 2025. I thought that was pretty impressive. It really feels like our conservative leaders are trying to hit the ball running and trying to get ahead of the game instead of working backwards. And so that was great. And then I see that locally on the ground too, just in our Region 5 meeting, making sure we're focusing on voter registration and, getting MPAs to register Republican because we're a closed primary, those type of things.
What's a closed primary?
Closed primary means that you have to be registered under that party in order to pick your primary candidate. So if you are an MPA and you want to vote for President Trump as our primary, you cannot do that. But it is also, something that you can change back. A lot of people don't realize that too. You can change it to a preferred party.
Preferred party preference.
Right, which we prefer that to be Republican people, just so you know, just so we're clear.
Unless you want to register Democrat and, throw in some sabotage there and vote for RFK Jr.
I'm sure they do that on our side.
Oh, they do. For sure.
So if you, so you can switch it and then switch it back after the primary if you want to. So just options for you to make sure that you're getting involved and making sure that we get good people elected through our primary. So
that's good.
That's basically what I have for now. So Abby, what's going on with you?
Well, the third week of the month is always my busiest week. I sit on 2 different committees in town. I had back-to-back meetings Tuesday and Wednesday nights. It's always interesting seeing local politics in action. The Tuesday night meeting was pretty brief. I happen to sit on the code enforcement board in town. And
dun dun dun.
Fortunately, the good thing for me as a member, I can't narc on anybody. So anybody that comes before the board can rest assured that it wasn't me that turned them in. But it's interesting to me that all these residents that get written up for hedge height violations or unmaintained landscaping, or that's the majority of what we get. Most of them don't show up to give their side of the story.
If they receive the violation?
They receive a notice. It's a multi-step process. They're given time to correct it.
Okay.
If they don't, they're given a second warning. And if they don't correct it by then they get the notice of hearing that they got to come before the code enforcement board. And even then, they may correct the violation at that point because they're like, oh, shoot, we're going to get fined or whatever. But then they still don't show up and plead their case. And to me, that's direct representation,
Yeah.
That's neighbors before neighbors. And
interesting.
Yeah.
So they just pay the fines?
Well, for instance, Tuesday night, there were several cases and I don't think any of the cases that came before us Tuesday night, we actually assessed fines. They had corrected the problems, but they're kind of put on notice that for the next 5 years, if it happens again, we could assess a fine, a per day fine. So
retroactive?
No.
Okay.
No, just if it happens again from when they're first notified that they're in violation again, not back to the original incident or whatever. But that gives the city the whatever you call it, so that there's not repeat offenders that are always just barely getting off the hook. They do what they got to do, and then it happens again. You know. So that meeting typically is a 30-minute meeting. It's not that long. Last night was the Charter Review Committee, which is only this year. We're talking about, the city charter, reviewing it, seeing if there's any changes that we as a committee want to make. This kind of came about last year because our mayor passed away. I explained in the first episode, the last episode, right after the election, and there was an appointment process for both filling the mayor's seat and the commissions, the vacant commission seat. And so the mayor right now, he created this committee to just examine the charter and see if, like, do we need to change the way that vacancies are filled? Do we need to change the form of our government? We're currently a strong mayor city, one of only two in Broward.
Yeah.
And
can you explain the difference for those who might not know what a strong mayor city is versus a
city manager
style? Yeah, thank you.
So
quickly,
city manager style is easier to explain because most of the governments locally are that style. So like the county commission, where you hire a city manager or county manager, county administrator.
Well, I know like Boca's a manager heavy city.
So that manager has the authority to make the day-to-day decisions for the entire city. The commission is the legislative body. So basically the city manager is the executive.
Okay.
Whoever the mayor is gets a vote on the commission in the city council in Boca, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So they're more of a legislator as opposed to an executive.
Okay.
But the commission has the ability to fire and hire the city manager with cause. I don't know what the process is in Boca, but in Lighthouse Point, with the strong mayor, the mayor is not part of the legislative body, does not have a vote on the commission, but does have pretty much the final say in almost every single decision in the city. There is a city administrator who does help with the operational aspects, but ultimately it's the mayor that has the final say, and it takes the majority of the commission. I think it's 4/5 of the commission to override the mayor. So there was discussion early on whether or not to keep that or change it. Obviously, with a change it would be a pretty substantial change. It would take a long time. It would have to go before the commission. The commission would have to vote for it, and then it would have to go on the ballot.
I was going to say it'd have to go on the ballot.
Yeah,
right?
so the residents would have to
Right.
approve that and vote for it as well. So ultimately, we decided to keep the strong mayor system.
Well, that's good.
We haven't had a formal vote on it, but
I think
that's kind of where we're trending. And so that was last night, and it's interesting because there's 10 people on the committee. That's a lot of voices.
That's a lot
of
talking.
That's a lot of
And it's
discussion.
probably people who like to hear themselves talk, right?
There's several. Yes. So that was my week this week. So it was. I've been looking forward all week to getting to come here and chat with you guys. So
well,
yeah.
I mean, so Jessica, my week was crazy too. I was at Turning Point as well, and my feet hurt. I decided I made the really poor choice to wear heels, thinking, I'm only going to be standing, but I'm going to be sitting a lot. It's a lot of meetings, right? We're going to be sitting and listening, so I'm not going to be walking around that much. I can wear heels. Definitely by the end, I walked around barefoot multiple times, and by the end of the night, I was walking barefoot to the parking garage. So that was fun, but I really enjoyed Tucker Carlson. I thought he was so funny.
Oh yes,
he was so like people
kind of
would
forgot
shout
about
stuff
him.
from the audience, and he would just take it and run with it, kind of like a comedian, but like real substantive
I saw the clip about the cocaine in the White House.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my
So funny.
God.
It was so funny. If you guys have time and you're a Tucker Carlson fan, you go to his YouTube channel. I think his whole speech from that night is posted, and it was so funny because, like I said, people were shouting from the audience, like kind of like prompts almost, and he would just go with it. And he had no notes, no speech. He just got up there and talked to us, and it was great. So I met a few people, a few of my favorite podcasters, so that was exciting. I really enjoyed the next day. Ted Ballard got a standing ovation that was over a minute long.
Wow.
I mean, it was he got a longer standing ovation, I think, than Trump even.
Yes.
Wow. So
yes,
people just kept cheering and cheering and
He
cheering.
spoke Sunday afternoon?
He spoke Sunday morning.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I felt like I was in like church on Sunday morning.
The movie.
Did you see it?
Sunday afternoon.
Oh
so
my
good.
gosh.
So good.
So good.
Everybody go see Sound
Go
of
see
Freedom.
Sound of Freedom.
Yes.
If you haven't yet.
Yes.
Or pay for somebody to go see it.
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely.
So it was really good. I mean, all the things that definitely agree with Jessica said with the Secret Service and all that. But that aside, it was very exciting to see so many great speakers. And it was really cool to see some of them, a couple of the senators on Sunday morning. They weren't just doing campaign speeches. Some of the speakers kind of gave like campaignish style speeches, but they were giving like heart to heart conversations about the direction of our country, what they see for it, what they want to see for it, and their passion behind just loving our country was just phenomenal to see. And then I really loved at the end, Charlie Kirk gave like a charge to people, and he gave like 5 things he wants people to do, and I'm not going to try to name them all because I won't remember them, but 2 of them hugely stuck out with me, and one of them was working like what we've been focusing on in Region 5, what we did a lot in 22 with the election, which was ballot chasing and using the tools that the Democrats have against them and making sure that we are registering to vote by mail so that it bumps up those numbers. And even if you don't vote by mail, at least it bumps those numbers up, and we'll get into that, as we get closer to election.
But like I always have a tidbit from last August primary. I had a neighbor that I talked multiple times with about voting. They were on my walk list, and the wife got COVID like literally the week of the primary, and they had not requested a vote by mail ballot, and so she couldn't. She was symptomatic. She was sick. She couldn't vote in the primary last August, and it was because she had intended on going on election day, and which I'm an election day voter too, but why not have that ballot come to you
just in case?
Secure your ballot. Use it as like a cheat sheet, for doing your research for when you go in and vote.
Exactly. And then not only that, we look what's happened. The Democrats know that is our plan. And so it's so easy to sabotage us because it's one day of sabotage.
Got to keep them guessing.
So I loved that. I loved that this swell of like the ground people of the party are wanting to do that. And then I also really appreciated what he said about what type of war we're in, is that we're in a spiritual battle.
Oh, 100%.
And he talked about, this is not a battle of the flesh, it's a battle of principalities and being right and all of these things. So it was really good. Like I left like feeling like, all right, let's go do something. So here we are. So do something is what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about taxes, everyone's favorite subject.
Woo!
Woohoo! What are the 2 things that are for sure? Death and taxes. So hopefully it's not death by taxes. And if we keep going with this administration in the country, it might be. But we'll wheel it back into local. So Abby's going to talk to us a little bit about, can you tell us the difference, Abby, between ad valorem taxes and non-ad valorem taxes?
Okay, so I actually Googled ad valorem today just because it had been a while since I had looked up the definition. But if you look at the term, it tells you what it is right in the term.
What's the term?
Ad valorem, value.
Oh, okay.
It's taxes based on the value of the property.
Okay.
So basically whatever your property, your house, your condo, your business, like if it's a business or a commercial property, whatever it's valued at, that's what you're going to pay taxes on. So it's value times millage rate equals tax.
Okay.
Non-ad valorem is like a flat fee.
Okay.
For a specific type of service, usually like fire or garbage or, stuff like that.
Okay. So I'm going to talk in a minute about kind of breakdowns and stuff, but can you talk about what millage, like the millage rate and that kind of stuff?
Millage is like a really old term.
Okay.
Like it's talking about literally like milling, like mills.
Like grinding, like
basically,
grain?
Yeah. Yeah, so it goes back, it's a very colloquial term, but basically it's a tax rate. It's a tax rate that is determined by the taxing district, whether it's a city or a county or a special district. And it's basically as they're setting their annual budget and what they need to run the district, the city, the county, whatever it might be, they get from the property appraiser's office the value of all the properties in their district. So like
the properties appraiser's office, real quick, is a constitutionally elected official.
In Palm Beach County and it's about to become one in Broward.
Oh, yes. It's not in Broward.
It is not in Broward.
Is it an appointed position?
We don't have a tax collector in Broward.
Or a property appraiser?
Oh, it is 2 different things, isn't
it?
It
is 2
I'm thinking of the tax collector. We don't have one right now.
You don't have a tax collector?
No.
So who's in charge of your collecting your taxes?
That's interesting because it's really
the inmates are running the asylum in Broward.
I mean, Broward's getting Broward, right, ladies and gentlemen?
Because I'm like, that's kind of shady because when you look at the tax collector, it's the distribution of the money.
Yeah.
Like that's where all of the money comes into. At least in Palm Beach County.
So that could be so shady.
Yeah. It's part of the county offices. There is a Broward County tax division that I pay my property taxes to every year.
Then
but there's
who
not a
makes
figurehead.
sure that that's being done properly? So there we go. So it's going to be added in. Is that what's
24.
happening?
It's going to be on the 24 ballot.
Okay. So if
And
you're in
we've already got
Broward County,
we've already got at least one Democrat that has
Okay.
thrown his hat in the ring.
if you are a
we need a
Republican
Republican.
in
Yes.
Broward County and you want to run to be a tax collector, it is a hefty salary too. I don't know about in Broward, but
Any
in
county
Palm Beach
position
County,
In Palm Beach County, it's about $400,000
really?
a year. Yeah.
Wow.
it's a hefty salary. So you
Right?
know,
You want to move to Palm Beach County? Yeah.
run. Hey, we
Because-
need it. We need someone to run.
because who is the tax collector there currently is
Ann
Ann
Gannon.
Gannon.
Who forced her people
Correct.
to get vaccinated?
Yep, that's exactly what I was
Oh,
going to say.
sorry, I didn't mean to take your thunder.
No, that's okay. That's okay. But also, and she made her employees pay more premiums in health care if they were not vaccinated.
So discriminatory.
So
Yep.
she punished them if they were not vaccinated. So we need to get her out. She's been in there a long time. And I'm not saying that she does a terrible job, but we need something new that is going to make sure that she sticks to tax collecting and not healthcare.
Healthcare dictating. All right. So what else?
What else? Where are we going with this?
Well, you want me to go on to?
Well,
So-
we're having a conversation
Yeah.
here, and you said you're getting up to speed on the property
Yes.
taxes and how it works and the millage
Very
rates.
interested in this.
Oh, so here I'll continue on with the budget conversation.
Yes,
How the
that's what
budgets
it was.
play into the property taxes.
Thank you.
So I'm going to continue with my City of Lighthouse point, but City of Boca Raton's the same thing.
Yeah.
So the city has to establish its budget for the fiscal year, right? Which begins October 1st.
And the counties. The counties
Yep.
have to
Counties.
do that too.
Everybody's doing their budgets right now. Counties, cities, special taxing districts. Everybody's working on the budgets right now.
Because they work on a fiscal year.
10-1.
Yep.
Yep.
And not a calendar year.
Correct.
So a lot of people get confused about that too.
Yes.
So what's a fiscal year?
anything other than December 31st year end.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at all the taxing districts, we'll say, are working on their budgets right now.
We'll talk about it in a minute.
So, for instance, at the end of last month, when I was in my travel mode, the city had their budget workshop. I'm sure the county commission had their budget workshop recently, and
One of them, yes.
the mayor or the county administrator presents their recommended budget for the upcoming year. And from that, they receive the assessed values for all the properties in their district. Which
Done by the property appraiser.
done by the property appraiser. And based on the values, then they establish what they need to tax that value at in order to balance their budget. So
So they look at how much they need to have to go out, how much they need to have coming in, and they decide how much they need to have come in.
yeah, it's kind of like the reverse of how you run your personal household budget, where you know how much you make, right? You've got a salary or paycheck coming in, and then you've got all these expenses that you know need to get paid to go out, but there's some variability in your budget. But with the government, it's kind of the opposite. They try to figure out what their outflow is going to be, and then they back into the inflow.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
That's how government works. A little bit backwards.
And so
Shocker.
I know you guys in Palm Beach County, the county commission voted to lower your millage rate.
That's right.
I have not yet checked. I have not heard for sure whether Broward County held theirs constant.
What's Broward County's now? Do you know?
Well, let me look. I have my property tax.
Well, Palm
Jess,
Beach.
do you want to talk about?
So Palm Beach counties went from 4.715, and then the commission. So that's a pretty big reduction. However, it gets a little complicated because of the fact that if you're homesteaded, it doesn't affect you as much as if you were a business owner, multi-property owner, things of that nature. So when you're homesteaded, your ad valorem taxes only go up 3% each year, and that's the max. So regardless of this reduction, everybody's still going to see their 3% increase.
Yeah.
So the people who are going to benefit the most from this reduction are business owners because it caps at 10%. So it does help them there. Multi-property owners. So if anybody who owns multiple properties,
rental property or
rental
something like
properties
that aren't homesteaded.
that
on their
aren't
non-
homesteaded. So if like their primary residence is in New York and they own property here in Florida, then that property could be up to the 10% threshold. So also this will help anybody who recently purchased a home because it resets the value. And then they can be homesteaded. And then from this starting point, it would only go up a max of 3%.
So it's going to keep their appraisal value or their tax like
pretty
lower.
consistent to where it is with only a 3% increase each year.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So unlike Palm Beach County, my city actually is increasing. The mayor's asked for an increase in the millage rate.
Really?
Yes, but Lighthouse Point's millage rate is like a little over 4%, or 4 mils. It's like last year it was like 4.085 mils.
Still lower. That's higher than Boca's.
That blows my mind.
I know.
Do you have any debt?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Because we had the debt levy that was added on in 2018. Otherwise, it would have been like 3.6.
No, here. I'll go over mine in a minute.
Okay. So the issue with Lighthouse Point is it's a small town.
How many residents?
About a little under 12,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, that's small.
Very small. We have an aging infrastructure. There's a lot of stuff coming down the pike that needs to be paid for. But we have our own police department and our own fire department, which I know Boca does too. But our police and fire is 2/3 of our budget. And you think about everything with inflation going up. The police renegotiated their contract, 3-year contract last year, like right after my election, or the elections. 3% increase they got a 3% increase. So like that's built in, like that's going to go up every year. But contingent on that, the amount that has to get contributed to their pension goes up every year because their salaries have gone up. I know the city's negotiating with the fire and the rest of the like union employees on their contracts too. And all of that has to get paid for. And then increased costs for any kind of building projects or repair and maintenance, like all of that stuff has gone up. And, we feel that pain as individuals, as homeowners and taxpayers and all that. The cities and the counties and the governments feel it too, which, it sucks. I mean, we don't have a lot of sympathy for those people that take our taxes, but I mean, it's kind of like it's a numbers game.
But we're very happy when we have the fire department come when we need them to.
And
so
I mean, in Lighthouse Point, you call the police, you call the fire department, someone's there in like less than 5 minutes. It's a small town, and like it's a very very small. Everybody knows everybody. They show up right away. You don't have to wait for Broward Sheriff's Office to show up.
Right.
So it's like.
It's part of the trade-off that we have in living in like.
Right. What do you have for reserves?
For the city, I'd have to pull up the numbers, but
I
mean,
do you have a good chunk of reserves?
Well, I mean, you're required by the state to have a certain amount of like contingency reserves. They are pulling some funds from the reserves to help balance the budget, but I mean, they're trying not to pull from that. They're trying to, keep those reserves fully stocked, and in case because the values went up this year, but like that's not guaranteed to happen. Into the future, nobody knows what the future holds. And if the values fall and they're not getting those, then you really need to have the reserves there. Cause then it's like,
and that's that kind of brings us back to that 2008 era when we had that huge, housing crash. So it's like, this is a part that I think people kind of get in the weeds about, and they're like, it kind of goes over people's heads, and having good reserves makes it that if there is, some event that happens in your city or your county, you're not using debt to take care of that. You're able to kind of take it out of your savings account per se and be able to handle those things. So like in Palm Beach County, our reserves are about like $350 million, I believe, give or take a little bit, but think about it, Palm Beach County is a very large county. If we got a hurricane, how long is $350 million going to last?
Not going far.
Yeah.
I was going to say that'll last a week.
So when people say like, oh, we have a lot of reserves, like $350 million to you and I, that's a lot of money. However, if a hurricane comes and takes out a city block, that $350 million isn't going to last very long. So you kind of got to think about, you got to kind of like stay in the present, but predict the future and try to, and try to not relive the past. So it's like you're in this constant dance of where the money's going to go and how's it going to play and things of that nature. And I know a lot of people are really excited and very happy that our millage rate got reduced in Palm Beach County. And not saying that I'm not happy about it either. However, is that when you look at the whole picture, you've got to think about all of those aspects. So when you're reducing the money, that's less money coming in. We're still going to be at a $7.6 billion budget this year.
Woo.
So it is a lot of money, but we're talking that the city administrator, I think, is now being asked to reduce it by $64 million in total.
It's a lot.
That's a lot. So
reduce.
who do you take that money from?
Yeah.
And people don't think of that. So it's like those that are homesteaded that are at your 3% increase, they're still going to get their 3% increase, but some of their services may get reduced because of that millage reduction. So just kind of, so people.
It's a balance.
So it's like people who are kind of getting into this, at the last county commission meeting, there were several people that came to talk at Matters of the Public for not. Wendy Link, who is our supervisor of elections for Palm Beach County, asked for an additional $10 million on this budget. Okay. So there was a lot of, we call them in unfunded mandates. So there are laws, regulations pushed down from Tallahassee that says you have to do this now. And then they don't give you a check with it and say, here's the money to pay for it. We as citizens have to pay for that. And so, because of all of the election irregularities and everything that happened in 2020, there were things that got pushed down from the state that was like, okay, these are the things that you need to do now. And then we've changed things of how we've operated our elections in the county just as being citizens. So like we're registering more people to vote now. We are also...
more people who request their vote by mail increases that cost because they pay for the postage both directions.
Correct. And then those have to be printed each election year. Wendy Lake used to be able to buy them by the envelopes by the pallet. Now she has to do them per election. So that's a cost increase because you're not getting the bulk discount and things of that nature. So she's had to hire people just to process vote by mail requests. And so, yes, she is asking for more money. Yes, there were irregularities in 2020. But if you kind of look at it all, it's like it's kind of warranted. So we wanted these regulations changed. We wanted our voter rolls cleaned up every 90 days. We wanted to make sure that dead people got taken off of the voter rolls.
Yes.
It was dead people. They got dead already.
And it was very interesting because of regulation, Wendy Link could attend a funeral and not take them off. She cannot take them off the voter rolls herself. It has to come from a state or an agency, a death certificate, in order to take them off the voter rolls. So simple, silly things like that have to work through a process that costs time and it costs money. So again, people want to say that she's increasing the budget and then we're reducing the millage. But yet we want these services and we want to make sure that our elections are fair and clean. So it's really tricky.
It's like balancing on like the tip of a knife.
Yeah.
Walk
So
that.
it's like, yes, people are going to save money, but yet there's some things that we're just going to have to pay more for. And then you have inflation. So we have inflation aspects that come into play all the time. So it's like we get change orders or whatever that come through the county that are like, it's going to be $500,000 more to finish this project because supplies increased and things of that nature. So it's like, we're kind of teetering a little bit, and so I just want everybody to have a clear level head and just kind of look at the whole picture and kind of break it down as if it was your money in your household, and maybe instead of a B, you know, you use a mill or you use thousands, and try to figure out how you would do it at home. And I think the more understanding that you have about how it works, and that you have to like pick and choose what services that you're going to pay for and that you're going to fund, you want to make sure that we're putting our money to good use and in good services. And that's all I want people to be aware of.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. And with that, I want to kind of talk. Did you have anything on the millage?
Just to speak to like the unfunded aspect of what you were talking about, like from a city standpoint, we actually got several $1 million of appropriations in the state budget that was just signed.
Congrats.
Yeah,
That's
for infrastructure projects. But some of those...
The county did, Palm Beach County did too.
Some of those funds have required matches. So the city's got to come up. The city's got to come up with like $800,000 worth of funds to match for these projects, and so that's got to be built into the budget too. You know, so like it's like, yes, we got all these millions of dollars for our bridges and our pipes and our infrastructure and all this stuff, but we got to kick in too. We got to have some skin in the game, and it's like, how do you do that with an already razor thin tight budget without? I mean, we're talking about less than, it went from like 4.08 to 4.155 mils.
Oh, so it's not a lot.
It's not a huge increase, no.
But it'll be enough to cover that, to make that, hopefully. That's the plan.
Nobody can see the future, but yeah.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
So that's all I wanted to add.
So,
Perfect.
Well, so I was kind of tail off of what you said about knowing like how our money's being spent. And so and you mentioned something earlier I want to go back to, is just what's called the taxing districts. And this is not something I knew about until I started learning. So I figure a lot of people probably don't know what this is. And a taxing district is the sections is how your money is spent. So everybody can go on. You can go to, for Palm Beach County, it is pbcgov.org/PAPA, or you can go to basically the property appraiser's website, and you put in your information, and you can see what your taxing districts are. And so I'm going to kind of read through what mine are, kind of to give you an example of what that looks like. So I have a county operating budget, and these are the ad valorem taxes. So ad valorem, once again, are based off of the value of the property, right, Abby? I said that right? Okay,
Yes.
good. Make sure I'm going to say it all right. So the county operating, I have county debt, Palm Beach County School District by state law, Palm Beach County School District by local board. So there's two separate taxing districts from what that means, like for school district, which I find very interesting. Boca operating, Boca debt, South Florida Water Management, 2 different districts, Everglades Construction, Florida Inland Navigation District, Children's Health Services Council, Healthcare District, and the Greater Boca Beach and Park Districts. And then in the non-ad valorem are Lake Worth Drainage District, which is canals, Boca Raton Fire Operations, and the Solid Waste Authority. So I find this fascinating, and I think it's really important that and the reason I wanted to bring it into the conversation tonight is it is really important to what Jessica said, knowing where our money is going, and so we know who we need to hold accountable to how they're spending our money. So I kind of went through some of these on the ad valorem taxes. Half of the people on these that run these boards are elected, and half of them are appointed. So we have appointed people running boards that are taking our tax dollars and spending them. And I think it's definitely something that we as citizens need to know about, so we can be looking into who are the people on these boards, how are they spending our money? Are they spending our money on, with all the crazy things that are happening in the woke world, are they spending our money on DEI seminars for their employees? Or are they spending our money on actually fixing or working on Everglades construction? Like, how is our money being spent, and how do we as the people, we the local people, hold them accountable to it? So I definitely encourage everyone to take a few minutes one day to go on, see what your taxing district is. When you click on it, you can click on the actual place, the district, and it'll take you to their website. So then you can start to learn about their website. So like our school districts, good Lord almighty. How much
Did you
money?
hear about the school board meeting yesterday?
I
okay.
watched it.
Ooh,
I watched
can you
it.
tell
Oh,
us about it? Because I haven't had a chance to
I
watch
haven't
it
had a
yet.
chance to watch
I
it yet.
only
Give us a
watched
skinny.
it because one of our locals members put it in the chat last
Yes.
night, and I went to the section where she referenced, and they're pushing. They would just add another federal holiday, Juneteenth, if they could, but then they'd have to come up with the money to pay the employees for the day off. And so instead, they want to drop another holiday to make room for Juneteenth. And I think they realized that they couldn't drop the 4th of July. I mean, this only applies to year-round employees in the school district.
Right. So which is by the way, the school
Administration.
district employs is the largest employer in Palm Beach County.
Same with Broward.
And
yeah.
they employ, but there's a teacher shortage. So they're not employing teachers.
Yeah.
So just put that, I mean, they obviously are employing teachers, but where is that big chunk of people? So those administrators, and those are the year-round employees.
Yes. Yes. So one of the commissioners, not commissioners, school board members.
We don't claim them. I'm just kidding.
They literally floated the idea of dropping Labor Day.
What?
Which I found ironic for like a union-driven organization.
It's also a school day. Like it's a school. It's like
I'm just reporting back what I watched, and I was like,
who did that? Do you know?
well, the District 7 board member was the one that was really pushing for Juneteenth, and then the District, I want to say 3?
Isn't that the new one?
That's the
District
new
7
one.
is new.
That's
It
the
was-
one.
it
It's
was
mostly
Deborah.
like Riviera Beach and
Yeah, that was the one, the lady who had been there for 20
Yeah.
years. What was her name? Dr. somebody or other. If anybody knows, you can drop it in the chat.
yeah. I encourage anybody. I'll drop the link to the YouTube in the chat.
So what did they decide?
Oh, it was just a discussion. There was no motion or
Oh.
any. They would have to workshop it with the calendar committee and all this other stuff.
Oh my
I-
word.
I don't know.
When does school end now?
End of May. So it would just
So
be the
why-
year-round employees.
We're talking. Yeah. I mean,
Just.
yeah.
Oh my lord.
So that's what happened in the Palm Beach County
Sorry, I
School Board
didn't
meeting
mean to
last
breathe
night.
So that's what
hard
I
in the
picked.
mic.
So yeah, so their millage rate. Okay, so the county millage rate just dropped, but the millage rate for the school by district by state law. Now, if anybody in the chat knows the difference, I've been trying to figure out why there's 2 separate taxing districts for the school board. We've got by state law and by local board. So I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. So if anybody, I wonder if it's like the state decides that millage and then
Yes.
the board decides that
I believe
millage.
that's the case. Like the state requires the school district to tax a certain amount, the required funds, and then the school board itself has some jurisdiction over like what to put on top of that to run the district.
That would make sense because the schools get state funds.
Right.
So where would that money? How would
so
that?
we pay part of it goes to the state, then comes back to the county. Part of it goes to the county and stays at the county.
Probably
Something like that.
That's what I would. That
would make
That's
sense.
what I would assume.
They're pretty close, but the state law one is 3.7, the 3.27, and then the local board is 3.25. So they're pretty close to.
Regardless, it's way higher than the county commission mill rate,
Yep.
which is the same way it is in Broward.
Yep.
The school
Well,
board rate is way
yes,
higher.
if those combined, yeah, because
Yeah.
we're looking at 6.5.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And in Broward, we have the referendum that kicks in this year, the increased tax that they vote that the Broward County
have
voters
that
voted
too.
on it.
We have that too.
That was a county referendum though, right? Not school
yeah.
board.
It was a school board. We did remember we had like the vote no, vote yes, the referendum.
That was a county. I think it was. I think only Broward was a school board referendum.
No, we had a county one and a
really?
school one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, because the school one, because they were told, the teachers were told that if that doesn't pass, they're going to lose mental health services for the
Yes.
teachers.
They always threaten the heartstrings.
So that's what they said. And my question was what are they doing with the $5 billion budget that they have? So what Jessica said, county budget is $7.6 billion, covers sheriff, supervisor of elections, county commissioner, board, staff, salaries, fire department, waste. What am I missing? Roads, water, transportation. I mean, you name it, it's in that budget except for school board. So the school board budget is just over, I think it's around, I don't know what their new budget is for this year because they're probably workshopping also, but it was last year almost $5 billion. And the only thing that they do is school board.
Yeah.
It's $25,000 per student.
It's a lot of administrative bloat if it's anything like Broward.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, it's a shell game machine, right? You know, so it's like, but still, our students still don't have books in class. You
Teachers
know,
are
teachers still have to pay for everything. So please explain to me why we have a $5 billion budget and teachers still have to provide for basic necessities.
And
in
they
the
make
classroom.
$48,000 a year.
Yeah. So it's like they create these new programs, and is what happens is that each company that's involved in that takes a slice of the pie. So then by the time it gets to the student, if it even applies to the student at all, because a lot of times these programs and things don't even apply to the student half of the time, that by the time you're done is that there's no money left because everybody has taken a slice of their pie. And those are the things that we need to stop. If we get out of the administrative aspects when it comes to school board and get back to just the basics of reading, writing, math, and science, which a lot of our students, from my understanding, are not at grade level. So we're spending all of this money for what? They cannot produce a good product. So if you were to go to the store and you bought something and it wasn't a good product, you would ask for your money back.
And if you didn't, you would never buy the product again. And you would tell all your friends, don't buy the product. It was terrible.
Exactly. So I'm like, why don't we do that with things in government? You know, it's very frustrating, especially our kids are out of school, so we don't have to deal with that. But it was like, those that have to pay those taxes that don't even reap the benefits of the school system is really sad. And then I think it was Lori Berman,
state senator.
Yes.
Sorry.
A while ago said at a city meeting, I think that she was in, that it was like because of the pass down that they actually passed, that $10,000 is going towards going with the student.
Oh, the school choice program?
Yeah, so school of choice. So she was saying, that's going to take money out of the schools.
Exactly.
Right. It's the student. The student is going to get that money, not some big bureaucracy of administrative aspects. It's going to actually help a student get educated. So it's like the thought process that some of these Democrats have blows my mind, because if you really listen to them,
it's so bad. They're so bad.
You're like, what did you just say?
And they lie like a rug.
I was going to say, didn't you go to a association meeting?
Yes, I was in a COBRA meeting. I sat through this COBRA meeting.
What is COBRA? She went to.
What does COBRA stand for?
COBRA stands for the Coalition of Boynton West Regional Association.
Good job.
Did I get it right?
Bunch of HOAs.
A bunch of HOAs. Sorry. Yes, it's a bunch of HOAs of West Boynton, and they're great. Great people. I go to their meeting. I enjoy it. They're very sweet people. They had a legislative, I think we're going to have to wrap up soon, so I'll say this real quick. They had a legislative update, and they had all Democrats sitting in there, and they were talking about the school choice bill. But mind you, they never use the word school choice. They only talk about the defunding of the public schools. That's how they phrase it. And then they also talked about this one of them was up there lamenting the fact that this money is now going to follow the student. And she's like, and I don't even know why they need to have that. I mean, what's $8,000? It's $8,000. What's $8,000 going to do? Private schools are $30,000. So what's $8,000 going to do for anyone? And I literally, my children attend a private school, and we take advantage. We are benefits of the school choice program. My opinion and really is that there should be no funding for schools, and we all get to do it on our own, but then I would have my tax money back, so then I'd be able to pay for the education that I want. So it's a trade-off. And I just wanted to, and their tuition is nowhere near that amount. And that $8,000 definitely helps with what their tuition is.
And you're paying into the
and
public
I'm paying into the
school.
public school system with my taxes that
for
my kids
other
don't get.
Yeah, for other kids to go to school.
For other kids to go to school. And people who don't have children have to pay into it. And I think it's exactly, Abby. And I disagree with it. I don't particularly love the fact that I am taking advantage of a system that other people are having to pay into. But that's what public school is as well. So I'm like, You know what? I got to work within the system that I have. and see what we can do to change the system. So we don't want to go too far over. Do we have any questions or anything that have popped into the chat? If you guys have any questions, please drop them in.
Someone just texted us an article, and I had not read the op-ed yet, but one of the Broward school board members, the newly elected Alan Zeman, had written an op-ed in the Sun Sentinel over the weekend talking about his plan to raise Broward County school teachers' salaries up to six figures, to at least $100,000.
That's
and he believes that he can find the money in the budget to do that. Now,
so is he talking about raising the budget, or is he talking about getting rid of some of that fluff?
I think he's talking about getting rid of some of the fluff, but I also think, I mean, if you know any of the history of the Broward County School District,
a little bit.
there was a bond passed back in like 2014, I want to say, that there's like $800 million that like nobody knows like what happened to
where it went,
what it's being used for. Oh yeah,
sounds like the Pentagon.
I know, right?
It's
like a problem.
Broward Schools is a mix of nepotism, administrative bloat, and incompetence. It really is. And
it's the Department of Education as a whole.
It's a lot of finger pointing, and so he believes between the increased property values, the referendum that was passed last year that goes into effect this year, and a couple other factors, he thinks that it's doable.
I think that'd be great.
I mean, it would be great in theory. All the wrong people are poo-pooing the idea, you know, like all of the libs on the board.
Of course they are. They don't want more money for the teachers.
He's a Democrat too, but he's got a background in financial management. He seems kind of deep state-ish to me, but he's like ex-Navy, Pentagon, like.
That's how the money got missing.
Wait, what?
The money went missing.
So, anyways,
it circles around.
Full circle to the Pentagon.
This is being discussed. They're saying it's too late in the game for this year to really make this change, but maybe next year. We've got a new superintendent who happened to come across the border from Palm Beach County. I think he was like an assistant. He was assistant something or regional director, but he's originally a Broward boy, and now he's coming home.
Returning back to his roots.
We'll
I
see.
heard he has a personal driver, and
I've heard that rumor too. I don't know. I mean,
the superintendent
has a driver and a security detail.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I mean, it is Broward.
It's true. That's why I'm laughing.
I don't know. I don't know if the previous superintendent had that or not. I don't know.
Oh my gosh,
I mean,
that's funny.
I mean, the people who watch this, like, I hope this is like just I hope it's like blowing your mind right now, because this is the stuff that we deal with every day, that we are looking at, and we're looking at this information, and we can't do anything until we get your support and wanting to do this differently. Like, there are some things, we need to pay money for, and that we need to make sure that is paid and taken care of, and we need as responsible citizens to pay our fair share and do our due diligence and make sure that we have a safe community and that it's being ran properly and so on and so forth. But there's so many things that go on.
It just makes you gotta laugh sometimes.
That it's like, say what now? and you literally scratch your head and you're like, wow.
Well, if you recall, we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary when Governor DeSantis yeeted 4 of the Broward County School Board members.
True. Oh,
yes.
And appointed 4.
Yes. Come on, man. We need you to bring that to Palm Beach County.
Yeah.
They
I don't
did so
know.
much stuff.
But so this whole past year in Broward has just been like, they were like, boop. It's just been turmoil and more turmoil, because then we had the election, and one of the guys that won the election, there was, can he actually hold the office because he's a convicted felon who hasn't been granted clemency?
How did he even file to run?
He shouldn't have filed to run, but he did.
Had the supervisor of elections let that happen? Okay, sorry. Well, I'm asking the wrong questions. I'm asking the right questions of the wrong person.
Anyways,
Logic does not go into this. Logic does not play into this very often.
No. So anyways, 11th hour, like, he thought he was going to win his lawsuit or whatever against the state, against the governor. And the governor's like, nope, I'm appointing my own guy. Dan Fogelholly's back on the school board. So there are still there's 2 appointed Republicans on the Broward School Board, and then Brenda Pham won her election. So there's 3 out of 9.
I mean, that's more than we have on the Palm Beach County.
Yeah.
I actually don't think
We
there are
have
any
0.
Republicans.
Well, that's like our county commission.
Yeah.
It's all Democrats. All Democrats.
Yeah. But it's a nonpartisan race.
Which one?
In school board in Broward, right?
It is. Yeah.
So is ours. So, all right. So no questions have popped up.
I have not seen any questions in either of the chats. If anybody has any questions, drop them now.
And if you don't drop them now and you're watching later, we will go back and answer
leave
them. So
comments.
leave comments, leave questions. Please share this podcast. Please
Hopefully
hit the like button.
Hopefully it's been a wealth of information and not
Yes.
put you to sleep.
Yeah, that was our goal. We were like, okay, we're going to talk about taxes, but we're going to make it interesting because we need to know.
So I do want to give some good news. Can I give
Yes.
some good
Yes,
news?
absolutely.
please. Let's wrap up with some good news.
So, a couple things that are going on in Palm Beach County that people might want to be aware of. There's a Countdown to Zero event at the fairgrounds in on Okeechobee in Palm Beach County. It's all of the local shelters that have
Animal shelters?
have animals that are available for adoption
The
are all
puppies and
going to
the
be
kitties.
under one roof. So if you are looking for a new best friend or want to, have that special somebody in your life and want to do it with a pet, it's a great opportunity. They're having really low adoption fees, and the whole goal is to get all of the pets that need homes into great loving homes. So I do want to mention that it's Saturday, this Saturday, July 22nd, from 11 to 4 at the South Florida Fairgrounds. That's at 9067 Southern Boulevard in West Palm Beach. So that's awesome. Also, the county is working on a Connect app. They've kind of started it already, where you can literally communicate with the county about any issues that you might be having. So if you find a pothole, a traffic signal out, you can actually go right into your app. It will geolocate you if you want to pick that location, and it will give the information directly to the county. So we are using technology to be able to kind of streamline those services so that not so many people have to call and things of that nature. Another thing is that they're doing online inspections for some certain building inspections. So the simple ones, you can actually take a video, you can upload it to the inspection website, and they will sign off on your permit. So you don't have to take the day off of work necessarily.
Oh, that's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to wait for an inspector. You don't have to call the inspector being like, when are you going to be here?
Is it cheaper?
I do not know. But anyway, it's at least more convenient.
Yes, for
because
sure.
most homeowners have to take the day off of work, wait all day.
Right.
The inspector's supposed to be there between, 9 and noon. He shows up at 3. So, this, I think this is going to be really cool. So we are using technology in the county a little bit more to help increase services. So I do want to point out some of the good things that are going on and what we do.
The good things that our tax dollars are going towards.
Yes,
for sure.
yes. Remember, we have to balance it out. It's not all bad. We need to pay our fair share, and we need to do good things. So it's great that the county is doing these good things to be able to wrap that up. So anybody else have any good news or anything they want to share?
I don't think so. Just thank you for joining us. I'll just say that our next episode is going to be August 3rd. Stay tuned to our social medias because there might be a slight change in time. So just keep an eye on that. We'll be posting that if that is the case. We're going to have a special guest on that episode, our first guest. I'm very excited. John Brody. John Brody is a Coconut Creek commissioner, and he will be joining us to talk about his things that are happening in his city, as well as just local government processes and his journey and how he got there. And I'm excited to chat with him. So that's what I've got.
Yeah. Anything for you, Evan?
No, I'm good.
Awesome. So this episode was brought to you by R30 Agency, a private investigating firm. So be sure to check them out on our website, wethelocalspodcast.com. Their website is r30agency.com. Make sure that you check us out on all of our social medias, We The Locals FL. And if you want to email us, you can email us to wethelocalsfl@gmail.com. Have a great night, everybody, and stay local.
Bye.